Welcome to Living Fuel TV. I'm KC Craichy with a very special guest today. I'm very excited to introduce John Peterson. John?
Brother?
Welcome.
Great to be here, man.
Glad to have you, man.
Yeah.
John is a very unique individual, and as you've seen recently, we've been bringing you leading edge trainers, people that do something different than the norm. And John, you definitely fit that category.
Different than the norm.
Different than the norm.
Absolutely.
Well, the one thing that's fascinating about John, and I'll say it right to you, and I've told you before, is that you live it. You're 57 years old.
25 from the neck down.
Yeah, right. And you're as fit as anybody that I know. I mean, you're crazy fit. And you can do some things which we'll show later that most people now, recognizing that we have, just weekend warriors all the way to professional athletes watching and their trainers and doctors, we're going to show you some things over the next few series with John that mere mortals generally can't accomplish. Now, anyway, I'm looking forward to that. But one of the cool things is, and as many of you know, I met John, in 2005.
Yes.
And you are the publisher of my first book, Super Health, and second one, Living the Seven Golden Keys.
And hope maybe this next one.
And the next one maybe. But anyway, you're helping me on this one regardless.
Amen. Yes.
But the coolest thing is that, immediately, I can tell you, I go back a little ways. When one time I played basketball and I twisted my ankle to the point where I couldn't walk on that ankle. And really for 2 years I couldn't play basketball or do the running kind of things. Right. So I incorporated 100 push-ups a day and 1,500 crunches a day, for a period of a year. And after that year, I was walking in the gym and they had a machine there, and most it would go was 315. And I go, well, I haven't been in the gym in a long time. So I got on the gym and I threw that thing up like it was nothing, 315, just from push-ups. So the coolest thing is that the history of exercise and how it originated, and which great athletes did which systems and so on. But first, I want to hear about your story, John. Tell us how you're all the way back from when you had polio.
Okay, well, Casey, I was 4 years old, and I was one of those youngest. I was 4 years old. I was injected with a Salk vaccine for polio. 2 weeks later, Thanksgiving Day, I came down with polio. Literally, the next morning I couldn't even walk. My mother and father obviously knew something was really wrong with Johnny. So, next thing I knew, I was taken to the hospital, and it was there that was determined that I actually had polio. And by the way, there were 6 of us, 3 of my cousins, my older brother, and another friend, that were all taken to the same clinic at the same time. 3 of us came down with polio. So we were given the live virus instead of the supposedly the dead one in the vaccine. And that is how we contracted polio. So it was after that, though, Casey, there's an even better part. When I was 6 years old, I was taken to be prayed for. And then shortly after that, at the Sister Kenny Institute, it was discovered that I was getting the feeling back in my toes and feet. So then with a tremendous amount of therapy, I became fully functional again, but part of that included having to break each of my legs in 3 places, straighten them out, put them in casts, and get this, by the time I was 8 years old, I was winning blue ribbons in races.
That is fantastic.
Giving those ribbons to my mother.
That is fantastic. Well, you have your own Charles Atlas story of someone kicking sand in your face.
Worse than kicking sand in my face.
You were on crutches. You were 11 years old.
Well, actually, I was on crutches. By the time I was 11, I was totally healed. I was playing in a Little League then. I was actually 10. 10 years old the summer before I turned 11 in October. And I had a friend, Jeffy, that was wearing these Coke bottle glasses. And there was a guy. Now, the guy you're thinking about is the guy that used to kick the crutches out from me. He was almost 3 years older. And he was one of these guys, Casey, that was precocious isn't the right word. He was a gigantic kid, weighed probably 250 or more, was nearly a head taller than me, and just a gigantic kid. He was picking on Jeffy, and I asked him not to do that. And he said, "What did you say?" I asked him not to do that, my best Marlon Brando. And he was on me like a cat, was pounding on me.
So typical bully story, kick sand in your face.
Yes.
So it was your granddad who now introduced you to...
Well, actually, now let me tell you what happened, though. He was pounding on me, and I told him, leave me alone. My brother Al will take care of you. He said, well, cripple, he ain't here. So he's pounding on me. And then I hear my brother, like the voice of God, 15 feet away. And he says, get off my brother. The guy gets up. My brother's already in pitcher's stance. He uncorked the best fastball I've ever seen in my life. Down the guy went. He never bothered me again.
That's a great story. Okay, but let's go ahead and the fitness ad. Your granddad introduced you, said you can't let people pick on you.
I can't. Well, actually what he said to me, Casey, it's really kind of funny. He said, Jackson, if your mouth is going to get you in trouble, we better do something to try to at least help you to be able to back it up a little bit. And then he brought out the Charles Atlas course that all my uncles, I mean, these guys were built like Greek gods. My uncles had all been on the Charles Atlas course, and these were World War II, tough as nails veterans.
Now, I remember I used to be a comic book collector, and as a kid, for many years, I would see the Charles Atlas page on every comic book,
right?
And always wanted to. Finally, did order it. And talked about isometrics. I was always intrigued with isometrics.
Right.
In football practice, we would like put our head up against somebody's leg to build our neck strength using isometrics. Right. And so, continue.
But we do. Isometrics are part of my training system, obviously.
Right.
Well, you've seen the bridge.
Right.
And the bridge has helped your son?
Yes.
Considerably?
A lot of your stuff has helped us.
Well, glad you
But the cool thing is that you don't use weights.
No.
You use body weight.
Use our body the way God intended it to be used. Now, you mentioned how much stronger you actually became. And I've had a lot of guys that have taken up our training system that come from a weight training background. Now, one of the problems that they end up with is, well, quite often, bench pressing will tear the rotator cuffs. They end up with a compressed lower spine from very heavy squats.
Right.
Bad knees, bad elbows, bad wrist, pain wherever they've got a joint. And by restructuring their bodies with natural body weight movement, they not only heal, they become stronger and capable of doing things they can't otherwise do.
I agree with that. And the thing I think that's so unique, and you're going to see this over the next few series, is that this is something that anybody can do. Now, one of the things that we deal with in athletics or in performance is that there's these little nicks and tweaks and pulls and pains that derail your workout program. You know, and so
may I
these
interject
things.
One thing about
please.
that? You're right, but not only that, time after time, I've had young men tell me that their coaches tell them to just work through the pain. Well, if it's real pain, I advise against working through the pain because that's the body's signal telling you you are doing damage.
Right, yeah. I mean, to a certain extent, you know, when you get to a certain level of athletics, you can tell the difference between injury and pain.
You bet.
And sometimes you have to get through it.
Discomfort,
but we're going to talk about this a lot more, but the thing is that anybody can do this. The first thing I wanted you to try right now, just so you can get a feel for this, is to take your fist and tighten in the muscle as much as you can. And while you're bending your arm, keep it tight, bend it up, and then twice the power go down because you're twice as strong this way as you are the other way. Now feel from the tip of your fingers to the edge of your neck, every muscle. John, there's no weight.
That well.
Well, it's good training, but there's no machine in the world that can do that perfect tension, you know, from all the way up.
There is no machine in the world that can train your muscles the way your mind can. And that's the whole key is the mind-muscle connection here.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that because that's really, I mean, muscle cramping on purpose, thinking into the muscle, these kind of things.
Yes.
So this is really cool stuff. At any level, you can use it. And, you know, we're going to get into it more. But, John, thank you so much for being with us. Look forward to continuing the series. God bless you.
You too,
and
my friend.
We wish you super health.
Super health.